Welcome back everyone, it's DestinysJesus here. In this video I'm going to be playing Kovaaks for 1 week and deciding and telling you guys how much improvement I actually get from it. A lot of you guys in the past have probably done Kovaaks and you're not really sure whether it's worth it, so I actually went ahead and got Doingwell to make an aim routine for me and for the people that have my masterclasses. He does loads of aim coaching, if you guys don't know him, for Scented, Mitro, Noah Riley as well. Loads of top tier pro players as you can see on the screen, and this is basically what he recommended for me to do to improve my aim. Also at the start of this week, I'm going to go ahead and increasing my sensitivity from a regular sense of 8.2 the whole way up to 9.2, which obviously is a bit of a drastic change, but hopefully with actually playing Kovaaks every single day, I should be able to level out and it will hopefully increase my mechanics as well. I'm also going to be showing some in-game examples of everything I'm doing throughout the week. Mostly just going to play from solo arena and I'm going to see how much I actually improves throughout. So let's get into day one and look at what actually Doingwell told me at the start of this challenge. One big thing is to not sit there just spamming challenges over and over. This basically means that you're always trying to get a high score and you don't necessarily improve your aim, especially because you might be resetting it to get a good high score or not really paying to your best if you kind of mess up at the start. So what he told me was to sit there and play free play, which is the one without the challenges. Make sure you take a break every minute, a minute 30 to relax, make sure your hands not tensing up or getting too cramped, which is a really big thing, especially when you're aiming and doing like an hour-long routine. So the biggest thing is to make sure you're just playing free play, or if you are doing challenges that you're not always trying to beat your high score. You should only really use the challenges to actually gauge how much you've improved, rather than just playing them continuously to try to beat your high score over and over. It is very unrealistic to set a personal record, especially with Kovaaks, since there's a lot of randomness with where the bots actually spawn, which allows you to have bad runs as well. Also, as a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to be showing the full masterclass routine in this video, only a couple of the select maps. If you guys actually want to play Kovaaks and improve it, I'd recommend getting a routine either from one of the masterclasses. I'll be adding some more routines for the box fighting and Churros one, or get a routine from Doingwell, or just make sure you're choosing maps that work on your weaknesses, right? There's no point in you doing a smoothness routine that works on making sure you've got really good long range aim if you're already good at that scenario. If you need to be working your pump aim, maybe you're gliding, shooting people that are gliding, make sure you're working on those specific map scenarios in Kovaaks. There's loads of different maps, there's like thousands of maps that you can choose from that you can go for scores on and try to improve. And the biggest thing is to work on what your weaknesses are. Okay, so here we are on day 5, midway through the week. As you can see that my scores are actually improving a good bit. The one thing that I noticed was my average scores as well were increasing just by having a lot more consistency with my aim. I wasn't really having like somewhat poor runs where I wasn't getting too much score. I was always averaging a pretty high score and beating my high score several times while in the same session as well in this kind of midweek period. This is definitely the one big benefit I noticed in aim training, is just how much more consistent you are when you're playing Kovaaks and also in game as well. One thing I did notice on this day that I would actually recommend for you guys is to try to implement some ADS routines if you actually need to do them. So how you actually figure out your ADS sense in Kovaaks, there's either one way you can do it, which is actually come into this weapon section in Kovaaks and just put your zoom sense multiplier. This means basically that as you're playing a scenario that's got ADS aim, so you can see FN assault rifle, no bloom, you're tapping, this is my regular sense, I can actually ADS just like this and it zooms in. But it is kind of a weird effect, it kind of looks like the orc. I wouldn't really recommend doing this even though it does give you a correct ADS sense. The other way that you can actually go ahead and do it is just open the calculator, as you can see here, and just put in your regular sense, and mine would be 9.2, and then multiply that by your ADS sense, and multiply it by 0.4 to 40%, and it'll give you a nice little number, 3.68. I can go ahead and add that into my Kovaaks, just like this, 3.68, just like so. Save it, and now I don't get that weird zoomed in effect, and it's kind of normal, and I'm playing my ADS sense perfectly, just like that. So that's the best way that I can match my ADS sense. Big thing for the pad meta as well is when other player padding, you can obviously get free kills out the air if you're holding them, if you've got good ADS aim. Okay, so here we are on day 7. Let me get into my final verdict where I think it's worth it for you guys getting into Kovaaks and starting to do it every single day. Let me run you through my whole thought process on how my week went, especially with tournaments as well, and also show some clips of what happened throughout. Okay, so on the first day of me doing my Kovaaks here was the UEFA Cup, and honestly, I played pretty bad in this tournament, and I can't lie. I played way too much Kovaaks beforehand, like an hour 20, and I also played like 2 hours of arena, and there definitely is such a thing as overtraining where you do too much aim training, and that kind of has a poor performance. And also I was feeling quite tired, and my hand was a little bit sore from playing that much in a day, since I normally don't play too much. So I played very bad in this tournament. However, on the day after, during the finals, I still did my aim training and make sure I was improving on my sense there. Now in this FNCS All-Star Showdowns, which is the big FNCS event that we had, a lot of players didn't qualify. I managed to make it to the top 2,000 round, which I'm pretty pleased with, and I'm honestly quite happy that I managed to qualify. I didn't qualify with a lot of kills, only had 7 eliminations in the entire thing, but I still did play pretty well, and there's a lot of things that my aim was helping with, especially the sense increases since it is a speed routine, like boxing up, making rotates, all of them I'm very happy with how my aim was in this tournament. Obviously I just didn't get in box since I really wasn't too confident on day 3. Now on day 4, I actually qualified into the FNCS All-Star Showdown, the round 2, and I actually played fairly decently. I can't lie, didn't do the best. Obviously my eliminations weren't really here. As you can see, average eliminations of 0.6, but making the top 1k in Europe, I'm still pretty pleased with this, especially since this competition was pretty tough. And again, the sense changes here definitely helped. I just made a lot of mistakes with rotating and stuff and storm surging these stat games that kind of costed me. But still, a good result, and especially just doing aim training for 4 days, making it the top 1k of Europe, especially in cash cups before, where I haven't really played cash cups at all in the past seasons. I am very pleased with this, and I definitely think that aim training helped my confidence and fighting in these tournaments. Also, let's have a look at how much my aim actually improved just by using the numbers of my high score. So I wasn't always doing these test runs to see how much I improved, and I will say that my average score, so just how much I was getting on average and how much consistency I was having, definitely improved by a drastic amount. So on this map here, the first map test run that you can see that I was doing, on the first day I managed to get a score of 4,032, which was at the time like top 5 or something score, and then more people playing this map throughout from the Masterclass. I actually finished on a score of 4,176. So as you can see, that's only a 3.5% increase overall. However, the consistency and how much average scores I was getting in the 4,000 region was increased a lot as well, which obviously pays off in game. And on map 2 here, you can see my score went from a high score of 70.3, which is kind of like a fluke one-off. Most of my scores are about in the low 60s, went up to an 80.2 high score, which I'm very pleased with. So you can see there, that's a 14% increase in just 1 week of Kovaaks on that specific map. So at the end of this week, after doing Kovaaks every single day for the last 7 days, would I recommend you guys doing this if you want to improve at Fortnite? 100% looking at all of the arena improvement I got, the tournament improvement, and the score improvement I got, I would recommend doing it just because there's so many different scenarios that you can do. You can work on whatever weaknesses you are, and as long as you're changing it up, you can 100% improve a good amount and always change up and keep it fresh for yourself. The big thing I see with Kovaaks is people don't follow a structured routine. They kind of just do random maps and don't really know what they're working towards. But if you make sure you're following a structured routine, like some of the stuff that Doingwell made for me at my Masterclasses, you'll be in such a good position where you can be really competent with your aim in game, and it isn't really too much of a time commitment. Just hopping on and doing 40 minutes to an hour of Kovaaks when you're playing for like 4 or 5 plus hours a day really is pretty feasible, and it will work on the biggest skill gap in Fortnite, which is your aim. Hopping in box and hitting a 1 pump, hopping in box, hitting an AR pump or a 2 tack or something is so important in tournaments, especially in solos as well. Intros, you can kind of get away with having bad aim, but it's so important to be making sure you're getting those picks on players gliding, like whether you're doing Fortnite gliders 360 and your ADS sense. It's so important making sure you're doing all those different things to make sure you're improving your aim as much as possible, since that has the biggest skill gap, as I mentioned. Big shout out for Doingwell for helping me make the aim routines for my Masterclasses. I'll be having a new aim routine on reactivity coming out of the box fighting Masterclass, and a new aim routine on smoothness for the Chose Masterclass coming out very soon, just working on finalising them, and also making sure that they're all complete. As always, make sure to like the video. If you guys enjoyed and learned anything new, and whether you're trying out Kovaaks, make sure you leave it in the comment section below as well.